Let's get to the auto industry. In the last hour, the UAW expanding its strike to GM's largest plant in Arlington, Texas. That comes after the automaker beat expectations for Q3, but they did pull the full-year guide due to the ongoing impact of the strike. Strike's costing the automaker about $200 million a week in lost vehicle production.
When we looked at the numbers, Stellantis has the least amount of money on the table right now, the big three, and basically at 10 a.m. we're asking you to take your workers out on strike.
We're ready when you tell, so 10 o'clock it is.
Stellantis is outraged and disturbed, while GM is calling the strike expansion unnecessary and irresponsible. A lot has happened in the last day in the world of the Detroit Three. With half of their business done outside of the United States, Stellantis has been given a free ride by the market since the beginning of the UAW strikes. Its shares have fallen just a little over 2% since September 15th, when the strikes first started. Whereas its legacy brethren, Ford and GM, they've fallen 10% and 16% respectively. But on the 23rd of October, Shawn Fain focused his gaze on the Ram truck factory in Sterling Heights, Michigan, hoping to exact pain on the cash cow of Stellantis' American operations. Pundits claimed the impact of this facility being out of commission would be low because Stellantis diversified its truck production base with a factory in Saltillo, Mexico, and Warren, Michigan, both making variations of the Ram model lineup. But wait, there's more. Fain wasn't done with his new wave of surprise strikes, because today, October 24th, he made an early morning announcement on the back of General Motors' Q3 earnings report, shutting down the Arlington assembly facility in what most assume is a repudiation of the car maker's strong financial and sales results, even in the face of UAW strikes. The company posted $3 billion in profit since the strikes only affected 2 weeks of their third quarter, costing them a mere $200 million loss, and a guide of $600 million more in strike-related losses by the end of the year, or so they calculate. GM's factory in Arlington, Texas, manufactures heavy hitters in the full-size SUV market, the Tahoe, Suburban, Yukon, and Escalade, and employs 5,000, and all have joined the picket lines, adding to the 6,800 Stellantis workers that walked off the job on Monday. GM was happy enough to report sequential growth in EV production that they created a slide for the accomplishment. Volume is still very low though, just 32,000 EVs were manufactured. And if we were to look at their Q3 sales figures, which was reported on October 3rd, you would notice an immediate issue. They sold just around 17,000 EVs, or just half of what they produced. Do you remember that interview with Jim Cramer and GM CEO Mary Barra, where she predicted 1 million units of production and profitability in 2025? Let me refresh your memory.
Mary, you have nothing short of incredibly stunning news today, including the fact that you'll be profitable, solidly profitable, in 2025. 1 million EVs? These are extraordinary goals. You're that confident.
I am extremely confident because, our first battery plant just started. We have 2 more coming online. We've got a great line of products, so we'll have the capacity to build 1 million units in 2025, and we believe at that point, in fact, our plan, and we will execute to achieve low to mid-digit margins at that point in time.
EV profitability would assume their production numbers would increase into the hundreds of thousands. But with their plans to scale back, you have to wonder, is it even worth it to pursue battery electric vehicles? With a buildup of supply on dealer lots, slowing EV demand, higher interest rates, rising costs, future government penalties for fuel economy, strikes at their internal combustion vehicle factories, and soon to be higher labor wages, I think things are getting out of hand, and without government assistance, GM might just outright call it quits.
You did report earnings earlier this morning. You beat estimates, but you withdrew your $14 billion profit forecast because of the uncertainty due to these strikes. Do you think that it will materially affect the outlook given the contours of where negotiations are right now of 23 to 30% increase?
When we made the decision to withdraw the guidance, it was really based on not wanting to speculate on the length or scope of the strike. Clearly this has been a very different UAW leadership strategy.
Can GM make a profit with a 25% raise for the UAW like Shawn Fain has requested?
So what we've also got to do is make sure that we sign an agreement that allows us to compete in the global marketplace. When we look at the pressures and the challenges on EV profitability, as well as some of our foreign competitors, we've got to make sure we can continue to price our vehicles and produce our vehicles profitably, which gives us the cash to be able to invest in the next.
CFO Paul Jacobson said on today's earnings call that they all but abandoned the 400,000 EVs by the end of 2024 production goal that they set for themselves, saying, "We're just not going to be talking about the interim production goals." This statement was prompted by analyst concern from the Equinox EV and Sierra Denali EV joining the Chevy Silverado and GMC Sierra production delay that GM enacted last week. They further reduced the scope of their EV effort by throwing out a $5 billion program to create new entry-level EVs, and now they've decided they'll be purchasing LFP batteries from China to reduce costs for the redesigned Chevrolet Bolt. It seems like the OEMs are just about ceding the EV market to Tesla, and unless the administration revises its fuel economy goals, it's an even bigger win for Tesla because legacy automotive will need to buy their regulatory credits more and more. This past quarter, Tesla's revenue from carbon credit sales was $554 million, or just shy of 1/3 of their net income. And trust me, the likes of GM aren't happy that they have to not only lose sales to Elon Musk's company, but also paying them millions for their credits is a tough pill to swallow. Especially for Stellantis, who is hoping to stop directly funding their competition after 2021, but ultimately have bought $2.4 billion worth of credits to date from Tesla, which accounts for Tesla's largest customer of said credits. The reason for this windfall is Stellantis ranks last in EPA fuel economy, and this means they have a very inefficient fleet of cars. It might be obvious because Stellantis doesn't sell any EVs under its American brands here in the United States. This might sound crazy, but Stellantis' slow adoption of EVs might have been the smartest thing they could have done. Which Ford and GM projected to lose $4 to $4.5 billion each in EV development and sales this year alone, that $2.4 billion worth of Tesla carbon credits looks like a steal in comparison. Perhaps they think that President Biden will eventually see his fuel economy goals as unrealistic, and they're literally just trying to buy time for regulations to loosen. The market is betting they're more right than wrong.